Heaven's Journey to Life. The Singularity That Collapsed Life. Day 60. As mentioned in the previous post, we'll continue with having a closer look at the difference within the existence between the mind and the physical body, why and how the mind is dependent on energy relationships and connections to survive, and why and how the physical body is here within and as equality and oneness with and as substance, not consisting of and existing as externalized energy relationships of frequency vibration, which give the human physical body the ability and capacity to in fact function in equality and oneness with and as all its parts, something the human being with the mind cannot even do with the rest of humanity as the rest of its parts within and on this earth. But first, we'll continue with the connection and relationship and merging and condensing of the space within and between the Eve and female and Adam and male singularity, giving both the experience of oneness and equality, within and as the narrowing and condensing and merging of the space within and between themselves and their molecules into infinity, which within and as that one point and position, within and as the substance of existence as a whole, manifested the belief of unification when the extent of separation of themselves from themselves, each other, and their molecules into infinity was in no way seen, realized, or understood. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to remember, see, realize, and understand, in and from the beginning, in and as equality and oneness, with and as energy and substance, how, as the Adam and male singularity and Eve and female singularity remained within and as that one merged and condensed position and location within existence, they together for a moment experienced the oneness of themselves, in and as the one aura and presence manifestation of all their aura and presence molecules into infinity, condensed and merged together, and experienced the equality of themselves in and as the one aura and presence manifestation, as both experienced the condensed and merged movements, ripples, and reverberations and resonances of and as their molecules into infinity. However, in and as this one position and location within existence, in and as their energy experience of oneness and equality as energy, the Adam male and Eve female singularities were at a standstill, remaining for a moment in the experience of themselves as energy together. But within and as their separation from themselves as energy, in and as the existence of themselves as the devil, as the actual process of the transforming and consuming of substance into energy, did not see, realize, and understand the dependency of the constant, continuous need and requirement of movement, physical movement, forward into and as existence and substance, so that as they move forward into existence and substance, more friction and conflict is manifested within and as both their Adam and male existence as the devil existence within them both, consumes substance to transform into energy, within the without of existence as substance, and the within as their beingness of and as substance, so that as the movement forward into the depths of existence and substance, for their reward as energy, possession, and experience, they equally as one moved inward as energy, into the depths of their beingness. Thus, the Adam male and Eve and female singularity, within that one location and position within existence, with no movement forward or inward into existence and substance, and their being and substance, to and in as that and as that movement forward and inward maintain the experience of themselves as energy, within and as their manifested singularities. Both the Adam and male and Eve and female experience of equality as the interaction of and as the positive energy experience, which was simply actually the movement, ripples, reverberations of all their molecules into infinity manifested within the one aura and presence that encompassed and surrounded them, started lessening and diminishing. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to remember, see, realize, and understand, in and from the beginning, in and as equality and oneness with and as energy and substance, that because the Adam and male and Eve and female singularities were not physically moving forward and inward for the friction and conflict, that within that movement forward and simultaneously movement inward manifest and produce the transforming and consuming of substance into energy. Their presence and aura molecules into infinity started lessening and diminishing from within infinity because they were no longer being automatically replaced by new molecules that would manifest when and as the Adam and male and even female singularities continue, physically moving forward and into the substance of existence and their beingness. Where the molecules would replace within infinity, within the singularity's movement forward and inward, continuing to maintain their energy existence, frequency, and vibration through consuming substance to transform into energy, which would continue manifesting the resonance, reverberation, ripples, movements of and as the positive, neutral, and negative energy manifestations within their manifested singularities. With the resonances, reverberation, ripples, movements, and the velocity and extent of the friction and conflict based on the speed and pace of the singularities' movement forward and inward into existence and substance, and their beingness and substance, that would determine the reach, vibration, and frequency of their presence in aura molecules into infinity. Thus, with the manifested singularities no more producing the extent and velocity of the friction and conflict into and towards existence and their beingness of substance, to consume substance to transform into energy to maintain their vibration and frequency as energy, and so maintain the reach of their aura and presence into infinity. Their negative, neutral, and positive energy experience within themselves lessened and diminished, and so also the reach of their aura and presence into infinity. This lessening and diminishing of the reach of their molecules into infinity manifested because their molecules into infinity started lessening and diminishing within the energy within themselves, because due to the minute and small size of their manifestations and form, would at a rapid pace and speed, much faster than the manifested singularities themselves, consume substance from within their minute molecule manifestations and forms to transform into energy until no more substance remain within their minute molecule manifestations and forms, and so would consume their own substance as energy until they cease to exist within existence. As energy can only exist with substance, if substance ceased to exist as the amount and opportunity of life and substance that exist within and as the molecules used and abused for its own survival as energy equals energy cease to exist, though if energy would cease to exist in stopping the relationship of consuming substance to transform into energy, substance would remain. We will, in later blogs to continue, expand on this relationship between energy and substance, the mind and the physical body, the world system of money, and this physical existence. Thus, while and as the atom and male and even female singularities' friction and conflict relationship to and towards existence as substance and their beingness as substance diminished and lessened, as they were no longer moving forward and inward within existence to maintain their frequency and vibration of energy within and as them, so did the reach of their aura and presence molecules into infinity diminished and lessened, that were not being replaced by new molecules into equal reaches into infinity. And thus the molecules within the far reaches into infinity ceased to exist, and this caused the equal positive energy experience interpretation of the atom and male and even female singularities to start diminishing and lessening. Thus, the atom and male and even female singularities firstly became aware of the change and difference within that one location position within existence from within and as the equal positive energy experience interpretation that started diminishing and lessening because the equal positive energy experience interpretation started diminishing and lessening as their aura and presence molecules into infinity started diminishing and lessening in their reaches into infinity, which so diminished and lessened the Eve and female and atom and male aura and presence manifestation. And so, from the aura and presence manifestation diminishing and lessening, move the atom and male and Eve and female singularities awareness into and as their manifested singularities positive energy experience that started diminishing and lessening into the neutral and eventually into the negative. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to in and as equality and oneness with and as substance and energy from in and in the beginning, remember, see, realize, and understand how, with the atom and male and even female singularities merging and condensing, that their awareness of themselves separated further from within their own real positive energy experience and neutral energy experience of the Eve and female and atom and male singularity within themselves, to their equality and positive energy experience interpretation as the condensing and merging of their aura and presence molecules into infinity within and as the one location and position within existence that manifested the interpretation of the unified infinity, ripples, reverberations, and resonance of the molecules into infinity as a positive energy experience. In and as this accepted and allowed separation of their awareness into and as the interpreted positive energy experience externally, which in fact manifested from and of their external existence, is why and how they initially first became aware of the lessening and diminishing of the external experience of the interpretation of the positive energy experience equality. When in fact, their energy experiences and real energy experiences within and as are positive to the neutral and the negative was simultaneously lessening and diminishing internally as the external molecules into infinity started lessening and diminishing. But because both their awareness was equally separated into and as the external interpreted experience of the positive, their awareness of themselves returned to themselves within themselves in layers of and as the separation they had accepted and allowed from within themselves. And so the awareness of the diminishing and lessening of the external interpreted positive energy experience started first, then to within themselves as their manifested singularities, neutral and positive energy experience of the atom and male and even female singularities, to eventually the negative energy experience, where from the negative energy experience existent within and as fear and fear of loss would motivate and instigate movement forward into existence and substance to initiate the process of the consuming of substance from within existence and from within their beingness. However, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to in and as equality and oneness, within and as energy and substance, from and in the beginning. Remember, see, realize, and understand how, as and while the atom and male and even female singularities were becoming aware of the lessening and diminishing of their external, separate, interpreted positive energy experience equality, the atom and male and even female singularities individually manifested their existence towards each other, within and as blame, as spite, excuse, and justification, within the context of interpreting and perceiving that the other was to blame for their diminished and lessened experience of and as a positive energy experience. Because it was within both continued merging and closeness and condensing that initially the equality of the interpreted positive energy experience was experienced, and now the diminishing and lessening of the external positive energy experience was being experienced within their continued merging, closeness, and condensing. In this, neither singularity is realized, seen, or understood. The actual cause and source and origin of and as their diminished and lessened experiences externally, and then eventually internally, due to and because of the separation from their own energy experience awarenesses from the devil, to the atom and male and even female, and God and energy authority, into and as the infinity of their molecules, and thus instead blamed within and as spite, excuse, and justification, each other for their eventually diminished and lessened into and as a negative energy experience. We'll in the next post continue with how exactly the nature and action of blame within and as spite, excuse, and justification manifested within and between the atom, male, and even female singularities, and how initially, when the equal positive energy experience started diminishing and lessening, they tried and attempted to move closer and closer and closer together, condensing more and more and more. But the closer and closer and closer they moved together, the more and more the equal positive energy experience externally diminished and lessened, to eventually not existing. And then their positive energy experience and neutral energy experience started diminishing in the atom and male and even female singularity into and as the negative energy experience, where both simultaneously equally moved away from each other into the depths of existence, which again moved their awareness into and as the positive and neutral. But also remember that positive energy experience interpretation that manifested with and as they're merging and condensing together, which would lead them to again seek and search for an opportunity to merge and condense with another manifested singularity. I commit myself to show how and why we're each individually within ourselves, within our own relationship with our own mind consciousness system, in and as our own physical body, responsible for the experiences as reactions of energies, as emotions and feelings of the negative, neutral, and positive. And so equally, as one responsible for every thought, internal conversation, personality, habit, and pattern that is existent within and as our minds, that has become who we are and how and what we live. That, as long as we exist as the mind and have not walked our process into and as physical equality and oneness and the living responsibility to ourselves and all as ourselves, we are not in fact ever experiencing anything and anyone else but our own minds, within and as the layers of separation that the mind consists of and exists as the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, where we're experiencing only our own energy existence within and as the mind, within and as our manifested singularities as the human physical body, equally as one as how it was from the beginning as the atom and male and even female, in fact, only experiencing their own energy awareness as themselves, within themselves, and was not, in fact, experiencing each other. I commit myself to show how and why the acceptance and allowance of blaming others for one's own internal energy experiences of and as the mind is a deliberate act of projection to not take responsibility for what self has created within and as space and time, in and as accepted and allowed participation in the mind of and as energy experience, but has become easier and convenient for one to blame others than to take direct responsibility for one's own creation of energy and experience within one's own mind, and that blaming others for one's internal experience and existence as a mind is a deliberate act of deliberately not wanting to change self or face the self-honesty of self's existence as the mind and the evils that loom and lurk in the secret internal conversations and backchats of and as subconscious mind. And thus that individuals that blame others for their mind and internal energy experience in fact exist in and as the most fear of others ever seeing, realizing, and understanding their true and real evil nature of and as the secrets within and as their mind, and so would place the emphasis and blame and limelight onto and towards others, when self is in fact the cause and source and origin of self within one's own mind, because it has only been self existing within one's own mind and own physical body. Any being that self is blaming for who self is or what and how self live regarding the internal experiences of energies was not at any moment, breath, physicality, mentally involved within the processes of one of and as one's mind and physical body, and thus it has always, in all ways, only been self, and self alone, within and as the existence and depths of self, self's mind and physical body that has entirely and completely created and manifested, designed and programmed self within self. I commit myself to, through writing, self-forgiveness, and self-corrective application, assist and support me in identifying the accepted and allowed relationship of blame, as I see, realize, and understand that blame is in fact me not wanting to take responsibility for me as the mind and experience, but instead blame who I am and how I am as the mind and experience onto and towards other, thinking and believing that if I blame me into and as them and they, I don't have to face, see, and expose the reality of me as my relationship to my mind and the secrets I accept and allow to haunt it. In this, I commit myself to thus stand within responsibility, courage, and self-honesty to identify what it is I blame others for, reflected back to myself through writing and seeing where and how and why I, in fact, do accept and allow within me exactly what it is that I am accepting and allowing myself to blame others for. And in this, apply and walk my self-forgiveness to take responsibility for that point and part of me to no more exist in blame relationship towards others, but exist in equality and oneness with me, and so walk my process of self-corrective application in not again accepting and allowing myself to blame that point and part of me into and as another, of and as me. As I see, realize, and understand that in blaming another, I am in fact only spiting myself, as I am the one keeping me in and as enslavement, limitation of and as my own mind, keeping me in and as separation from me within myself. And so without stopping blame, I stop spiting me and so manifest the window of opportunity to assist and support me in and as my process of and as equality and oneness. Here, I recommend the relationship and agreement course, within which one is assisted and supported within such processes of accepting and allowing blame, and how to practically walk one's processes self-responsibility, as a relationship and agreement course assists and supports self with establishing an equal and one relationship and agreement with self, and thus the relationship and agreement course can be walked alone or with a partner.